Hello. It's 6:15, so we're going to get started. This is Princess Steps, week 5. And tonight the topic is breathing, rolling out with trigger point tools or whatever kind of foam roller you happen to have. And also we'll wrap it up with some stretching. A lot of people have questions about that, but first we're going to talk about breathing. It's a beautiful night out there tonight. Probably about 50 degrees or so, sunny, just a little bit breezy, but otherwise pretty nice. And we have the Panthers in here tonight. So we're going to get started. And I'm going to start right off the bat with breathing. Okay. So, diaphragmatic breathing or belly breathing from down here low, not chest breathing. And so what we're going to practice, and those of you in here can practice it with me, and those of you out there can practice it too, whether you're standing or sitting or waiting in your car or outside in the park because it's beautiful or in here. The thing about rolling out or stretching is we want to be able to be relaxed and breathe. If we hold our breath or hold tension, that's not going to make our rolling out or our stretching very effective. It's going to be much, much, much more effective if we relax. If anybody has ever been to a massage therapist, how many people have seen a massage therapist? Okay, what do they tell you? They don't tell you hold your breath, do they? They say breathe, relax, breathe, relax. Because the more we breathe and relax, the more effective the massage therapist is going to be, or the tools, if we use tools ourselves, are going to be when rolling out and when stretching. So what I'm going to have you do, and I'm going to use this block as a demonstration. I'm going to lay down just so you can see the block move. When I breathe in, you're going to see that block go up. Okay? So here we go. So you can see when I inhale, the block goes up. When I exhale, the block goes down. So here's a little breathing exercise we're going to do to kind of get you set and give you something to practice at home on your own. We're going to breathe in about 6 counts, and you're going to see that block go up. Then I'm going to hold it for 3 counts, and then I'm going to exhale actually for 10 to 12 counts. And I'm going to use my fingers to do the counting because it's really hard for me to talk and breathe correctly at the same time when I'm demonstrating it. So you're going to see my fingers, okay? So I want you to practice this with me. Remember, we're going to breathe in for 6 seconds from the diaphragm way down here. And actually, when you fill the diaphragm up, after you fill the diaphragm up, then you can go ahead and fill the rest of your lungs up. And so you're going to get air up here too, but not before you get it from down here first. Okay, so you're going to see me put up 6 fingers initially, and then 3 fingers for the hold, and then 10 or 12 fingers for the exhale. Okay, so here we go. Okay, now ideally, how'd you do? Okay, it takes practice to do that much of an exhale. Okay, the key and the secret is to start the exhale slowly. All right, and when you practice this, and the instructions are written down black and white. There's a link to this breathing exercise in the update. Okay, how many people saw that? There's a lot of links in there. Okay, this is one of my favorites because I give a lot more information. But this is to really help you get the hang of breathing. And when you practice this, it'll become easier and easier and easier to do it when you're not only when you're practicing stretching, stretching or doing trigger point, but when you're out there, out and about, or waiting in your car at a stoplight, or waiting in line in the grocery store, and you're nervous and tense. This breathing exercise is really amazing at calming us down, literally lowering our heart rate and calming us down. It's also just so awesome, especially when you're rolling out. So you can practice that, and if you have questions about it, come in sometime and see me, and I'll guide you through it on individually. Okay? So what we're going to do now, I'm going to use the grid, the trigger point grid. It's got different levels of cushioning. This here is like your thumb. These are like your fingers, and this is kind of like the palm of your hand. It's also hollow, so it's you can do a lot more things with it. Whenever I do rolling out, I always like to start with my feet, because so many people have problems with their feet. How many people have had problems with their feet ever? Right, a lot of people. So we're going to start with the feet, or the lower leg rather. Okay, and we're going to put it on the lower part of the calf, and I'm going to straighten my leg and put my other leg on top. Now I'm not pushing it, I'm placing it. Then I'm going to raise the knee, and because this is the grid and it's more gentle than a lot of other tools, like some of these other trigger point tools are a little firmer and more intense and more direct. Sometimes if this isn't intense enough, you can actually come up a little bit like this. If this is too intense, because you have so much tension in that lower leg, then the modification is to take that top leg off. Okay? So essentially what we're going to do is we're going to position the foot in the upright or neutral, so the toes are kind of pointing straight up. All right? Put the other leg on top, and we're going to do 8 to 10 of these knee raises. Now I'm going to go through a few of them just to kind of show you the drill, but for purposes of the time that we have, I'm not going to go through the whole amount of reps. But you would do this in this slow, methodic fashion, again focusing on breathing and relaxing. And notice that I'm keeping my lower foot completely relaxed and kind of lazy. I'm not tensing it up like this. I'm just keeping it relaxed, okay? So after you do those 8 to 10 knee raises, then you do circles. I'm going to reposition a little bit here. 2 circles one way, 2 circles the other way with your ankle to increase blood flow and oxygen to the area that you just rolled. Then we're going to internally rotate it. Okay, so this was position 1, straight up, and then internally rotate, because we're going to get another area of that lower leg where the posterior tib, which causes a lot of problems, comes in. So then we place the other leg on top and continue with those knee raises, 8 to 10 knee raises. And so when you raise the knee like this, the tool is rolling on your lower leg. And what we're doing here, why this is so much different than stretching, is we're increasing elasticity. So elasticity is your muscle's ability to flex and relax and flex and relax, contrasted with flexibility, which is how much the muscle can stretch. And if you think about it, I'll use the analogy of beef jerky and bungee cord, okay? So when our legs are tight like beef jerky and we try to stretch them, there could be some problems going on with that, right? Where if we stretch bungee cord, it'll come back, stretches and relaxes, okay? If you put a knot in a rope and you try to stretch it out, it's only gonna make that knot tighter. But if you loosen it up, like rolling out, that is what is going to help increase elasticity. So we like to roll out. So stretching's not bad, but a lot of people have a tendency to overstretch. And so what we're focusing on here is loosening up those muscles first and then stretching later, okay? So we did position 1, which is upright, the 8 to 10 knee raises followed by the circles. And then internally rotate and repeat the 8 to 10 knee raises followed by the circles. And then we're going to position the foot slightly to the outside, put the other leg on top, and continue with the 8 to 10 knee raises okay? After that, then we do the circles, 2 circles one way, 2 circles the other way. And then also I like to finish with a little bit of just wiggling back and forth like this. Or you can actually take your knuckles and do this kind of thing right here, okay? And that reminds me, we're gonna do a little before and after thing with everybody, a little audience participation here, okay? So everybody stand up, all right? Now, what you're gonna do is, without overstretching, no bouncing, anything like that, but what you're gonna do is reach to the floor and just see how far you can go without forcing it, just without forcing it. Now come back up. Okay, now sit back down, and you're gonna get your knuckles here, and you're gonna self-massage your lower calf, the lower part of your calf, from about your Achilles tendon and up, alternating back and forth like this. Okay? You can even use the palm of your hand, or the heel of your hand right there. Massage it like that. Okay? And breathe. Try and relax and breathe. Let's do the other side. Breathe. Relax. We're just giving ourselves, you can feel the warmth in there, right? Feel it warming up. Okay? And now you're going to stand up again. Step in place a little bit. And now reach back down again. And come back up. How many people went further? Oh, yeah. Just about everybody went further the second time after you did that. You can sit back down again. Okay, so that's how effective, and we didn't even work on the hamstrings. We just did the lower part of the calf. Okay, so of course you're going to repeat what you did on one side, repeat that on the other side. So again, foot in the, let's see, we'll reposition here a little bit. Foot in the upright position, the other leg on top. We're going to do the knee raises, 8 to 10 of them, followed by 2 circles one way, 2 circles the other way. And then we're going to position to the inside, so move the foot from this position straight up to internally rotated or to the inside, other leg on top if you can. If that's too tender, which it might be, then the modification is take that top leg off. Okay, otherwise 8 to 10 repetitions, followed by the circles and a little bit of wiggling, and then the third position is to the outside. Okay. Also, while we're working on the lower leg, I'm going to show you one for the, I'm going to get a little closer here. This is a trigger point ball. It's firmer than a tennis ball, but not as firm as a golf ball. So we're going to go about 2/3 of the way up. Here's the shin bone or the tibia, and we're going to go to the outside. We're going to place that trigger point ball right there. There's 2 methods that you can use. One is to roll or pivot that ball up like this. Okay, and it's a pretty amazing way to work that anterior or front of the leg muscle, because that's a harder area to stretch. Okay, the other method that's actually a little more intense is to hold the ball there and then flex the foot up like this. Okay, but that's a really pretty good method of working that muscle in the front of the leg. Okay, and it's usually quite a lot more tender than you might imagine. Okay, another one of my favorite. Ah, there we go. Where'd it go? There it is. Okay, another favorite technique is called pinning. And so with this one, we're going to put one ball underneath the calf up higher, okay? The other ball right on top, like so. I'm going to put a palm here and a palm here. And I'm going to use my upper body weight ever so gently. I'm not pushing hard. It's not about how hard you go. It's more about how much you breathe and relax. And I'm going to do tiny little circular motions about the size of a pea. One little area. Okay, and just breathe and relax. And when you get what we call a release, you'll feel a spot of tension actually lighten up, loosen up, go away. And so you're only going to spend maybe 15 or 20 seconds in one little area, and then you're going to move the ball to another area, maybe about 1/2 inch away or 1 inch away, and roll it again. And when you do this more and more and more, you get better and better at recognizing what areas are tender, and so you can do this as a preventative. When you start to feel some tension, you can roll out, and it's like, oh my gosh, I didn't realize there was so much tension there. I'm going to roll it out and get those kinks and those tense areas rolled out. You know, if we could all go to a massage therapist every week, wouldn't that be great? I'm going to reposition here just a little bit, make sure you can see it. So there's the ball underneath, here's the ball on top, and we're just doing gentle little massage with by pinning the leg in between the two balls. Okay, a very, very favorite technique. Now we're going to shift to the quads. So for this, here's the front, and then here's the corner. We'll call this 0 degrees, and this is going to be about 45 degrees. So now what we're going to do is we're going to place the grid in about the center of the mat, and you're going to start just above the knee. And then we're going to do baby rocking motions from the knee all the way up to the hip. Okay? We're going to do that, and then we're going to reposition, and we're going to work the corner here, because these muscles really work and get built up, and they're the workhorses when we run sometimes. And oftentimes tension happens right here, but we don't necessarily feel it here. We oftentimes feel it back here, okay? But because these are working so hard, it causes discomfort. We usually feel tightness in the hamstring. So we're going to work out this front part, which is going to help release some of the tension, believe it or not, in the back, okay? And so here's how we do it. Let's see. There we go. Okay. So I'm just above the knee, and I'm in a plank position, so you get a little core work too. And you can see I'm getting leverage off my forearms. So I'm doing these baby rocking motions, okay? And oftentimes people say, oh, I didn't know that's how you were supposed to do it. I thought you were supposed to roll right through it. Well, think about it. When a massage therapist is working on you, they don't just go whoosh. They focus on an area and they stay there for a while, right? Okay, so we're going to focus on this area, and then I'm going to move my body down, and then the tool is going to come up my quad, okay? If you feel a tense area, here's a little bonus move. Breathe, do a hamstring curl, and then wave, okay? And that's working that area a little bit more. It might be too tense and you don't want to do that. You want to just roll through it, okay? So you're going to keep on doing these little baby rocking motions, and you want to roll all the way up to your hip, about right there, okay? And then I just tap it with my knee back up here, and now I'm going to shift. You're going to see my hip. Instead of my hips being parallel to the floor, they're going to rotate to about 45 degrees, and then I'm going to do the same baby rocking motion. All right, so we're going to start now. I can either have my forearm here and my hand here and my knee over there for balance, or I can do it like this, but either way, see the angle of my hips? Still 45 degrees, okay? So I'm going to do that baby rocking motion. And when I teach people this technique, about 99% of the people on 2/3 of the way up at this 45-degree angle, they're going to say, ah, because there's an active trigger point or an area of pretty noticeable tenderness about 2/3 of the way up in this area. That's that vastus lateralis. And so when you get to that point, and you can see my other leg here, that's why sometimes I want this little pad for my bony knees right there. There we go. Right here, you can do another hamstring curl and then back and forth with the wave, or you might not be able to. If it feels like it's just too much, just stop, breathe. If you need to roll off, you just get off of it and walk around a little bit, get some blood flow, that's okay too. Otherwise, I like to just stay on that area. I have other bonus moves that I'm not going to show you right now. But otherwise, you just want to keep on going all the way up to the hip, okay? So, we did the front, and then we did the corner. Now we're going to do the inside. So to do the inside, we're going to place So I'm kind of a little bit more on my belly, but I'm going to place that tool, the grid now, perpendicular to my leg, and I'm just going to roll it this way. Okay? Let's see, I have to reposition just so the people out there can see a little bit better. There we go. Okay, so this way, and then you can also do a little wave this way too, which again, those little waves increase the intensity, but you get the kinks worked out a little bit better. And with the grid, because it's softer and more surface area, you can go up a little bit higher on the inside of your thigh there. Okay. Now we're going to shift. Get the clock. We're going to shift to the piriformis. So we're going to sit on that grid. Okay. Now, first of all, I have most of my body weight on my hands and knees, but as your butt muscles acclimate to the firmness of the grid, you can start to put a little more body weight on that grid. And what you want to do is you want to lift your leg up off and externally rotate it and abduct it, meaning this position right here. And then get a little hip action. That's going to work the muscle, the piriformis muscle, and work some of that tension out of your piriformis, which is, think if you were wearing blue jeans, kind of where your back pocket is. Then otherwise you can just kind of roll around on the grid with your butt. It feels pretty good. And obviously do the other side too. I'm going to be lopsided tonight because I'm working on one side. Okay. There's another one. Okay. The psoas is a muscle that's deep down here. You really don't honestly work directly on the psoas because it's so deep, but you can affect it by doing this, what we call a psoas release. And so there's a picture of it right up there, the psoas. It hooks, inserts down on your femur and goes through the pelvis and connects to the lower vertebrae. When that's tight, it really can wreak havoc on your lower back, okay? So one of the ways to release it is the landmark is kind of the belly button and then over about an inch and down slightly. And so that's the area that I'm actually going to lay on the ball. So let's see here. There we go. So it's going to be right there. I'm going to be in this position here. And I'm going to simultaneously pull my hands and forearms toward me, but they're not really going to move. And that's going to bring that ball in towards me. And so the idea is you breathe, come up in this position. Let's see, I'm not sure. That might show it a little bit better. There we go. Sometimes you can feel it here, but I need to extend a little bit more to feel it. People ask, how do you know you're on it? You'll feel tenderness there. Sometimes the left side's a little more tender than the right side. A little trick is, I'm doing a little bit forward, backward, a little bit side to side. That's one way that helps you find it a little bit. And I'm not going to spend more than probably maybe 30, 40 seconds, maybe a minute on one side and then switch to the other side. So let's see, now I'm going to switch quickly to the pecs and the upper trap. So you place the ball here, palm here and a palm here, and you're doing circular motions right on your pec. Because when we do forward things like this, we get tension. The pecs get tight, but we don't feel the tension here. We feel it here, right? We feel it in our upper back and neck area. So we want to release this, and if you use the block and place it, you've got leverage. So it's an excellent massage technique for your pecs. And then you also want to take the ball and you can put it right here and work that upper trap area. It's just heavenly. I'm going to shift real quickly back to the grid. Oh, and this bigger ball too is also a little more direct on the piriformis, or the smaller one is even more direct on the piriformis. But back to this. Another thing you can do with the grid is hamstrings and also lower back. So the lower back, there we go. Just heavenly. Okay, now once we go through the rolling out, then I suggest some stretching. So, some knee to chest stretches, breathe, relax. And some people like to hold it for 20 or 30 seconds. I kind of like to hold for 2 counts, 1, 1,000, 2, 1,000, relax. 1, 1,000, and repeat that about 8 or 10 times. And I'll obviously go to the other side. And then a little bit of hamstring stretching. Okay, whether you hold for 20 seconds or hold for 2 seconds and repeat 8 or 10 times is up to your personal preferences and that type of thing. Also, it's kind of good to do this sort of a motion too after you do all that rolling out, because now I think your muscles are so loosened up. Now it's going to be easier and more effective to do that stretching. Every time I roll out and then stand up, it feels like I can breathe better. It feels like I'm taller. I feel all around better. My warm-up goes better. My walk or run goes better. My bike ride goes better. You know, our living room is like a permanent trigger point area with all this stuff because we use it so much. There's also tools like this, and sometimes people say, well, what's the difference between this and that? The